A lot of isekais seem to avoid the idea that
I agree with him wholeheartedly. If you didn't actually achieve the things you did yourself, it's worthless. But a lot of people don't understand it. Welcome, acolytes. Today, I actually wanted to look at something for myself, but because of. I actually got admitted this. How one anime fix isekai main issue, and I know the thing is. Frieren documentary. Frieren. I don't remember how this anime how it's named, but for F's sake, what I know is that it got such a positive backlash. It's so positively just presented. Everybody speaks purely highly in the name of this anime. So I'm actually quite curious how the F this stuff happened and what he's actually talking about. And what are we talking about today? Behast. Behast made this. It has a very good view count, even if you think that he only has 83. I mean, only 83k subs, and he got a half over. Almost 700,000 freaking views from it. This has to be something good. So let's just see it, what he has to say about it, and just start, won't we? But before I start, I will say, if you like my content, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment, press the notification button, intro me, and BS some love if he's a good one. Let's just say it like that. I'm not gonna change that one. So let's start.
for over 10 years, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood remained uncontested as the highest rated show on my anime list.
Yep, and it's good. It's really, really good. Like, there are definitively better shows, I think, but fuck yeah, my metal. No. This is one of the best shows you can look like. It's not a time waste for the most part. Of course, it's maybe not in your taste, but it's so freaking funny. It has so much charm. It's just a really, really, really extremely good one.
This is understandable. Few anime excel so consistently across the board. Some contenders appeared every other season, but the hype eventually died down, and in time, FMA reclaimed its spot. Until now.
Yeah, I mean... Oh, so no Frieren. Frieren. Damn, I cannot speak it. But yes, as I said, freaking gigantic. This is... I really only... If it beats Fullmetal Alchemist, I'm gonna be honest, I think it just has to be good. And I'm hyping myself up for absolutely probably no reason. Maybe I don't even like it for some reason. But no, I really think it's a... What I am hearing, this must be a godlike thing.
A year or so ago, I bought a fantasy manga from a store. I don't know what I expected, but I know that I did not expect much. Not only was I taken completely by surprise, but I fell in love with it. And when I heard Fullmetal Alchemist was dethroned, I had a feeling that Frieren had taken the spot. And trust me, it's here to stay.
Oh, come on. This is... Okay, let's skip that one.
Over the course of the last decade, no genre of anime has exploded in popularity as much as fantasy, to the point that you could say Frieren has entered an oversaturated market.
Yep.
And amidst the ever-growing...
And I mean, it is an oversaturated market. But if you go in and F like this did, well, it seems, as I said, like, I wish I looked at it before I did this, but no, I'm doing this. I'm hyping myself up even more.
catalog of fantasy anime, there is a boogeyman. a subgenre whose growth clearly stands head and shoulders above the rest.
Huh? Why did he say a boogeyman then? A boogeyman is actually something negative. A boogeyman is something that just comes out, scares you, and eats your soul, basically. Well, not eating your soul, but scares you to freaking... until you die, so... I don't
Isekai, or another world, hinges on the idea of a character, usually from our own world and era, being taken to a different realm. This is not a new idea in fantasy. There are many examples of such journeys in Western media.
Yeah, the classics. Nice.
And fantasy anime has been foraying into this genre since the 90s, with titles such as The Vision of Escaflowne or Inuyasha.
Oh, Inuyasha, I know
The
that.
protagonists of these stories were often children or teenagers, living through a fantastical journey meant...
And by the way, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? You actually always have growth with children in it, almost most of the time. I know there is an anime I'm actually quite excited about a older guy that actually became a kaiju. If somebody knows the name of that one, yes, please say it in the comments for those who are interested. But actually the concept is quite interesting.
To evoke amazement and wonder in the viewers, while also signifying growth and change for the characters.
Oh yeah, by the way, I freaking benched watch Inuyasha when I was younger. Loved it.
Very often, the journey into another world is the last that they will ever make, as growing up means leaving the lands of fantasy behind and returning to the real world.
Yeah.
But over the course of the last few years, the nature of the genre has changed. For starters, the characters being taken to another world are often adults now. Disillusioned Japanese salarymen, bullied shut-ins, or otherwise ostracized people.
Oh, yeah, this makes... Yeah, okay. I actually didn't look at this that way, but no, it makes sense. And most of the time they die and get a younger body, so they are still kids and teenagers, but with a grown-up's mind in the new world. So basically the same, just with more experience.
Who feel like they missed their chance at life. Unlike the isekai of the past, this is almost always a one-way trip. A second life following a premature death. The worlds of fantasy that these characters go to have also begun to all look suspiciously similar, with classic Dungeons and Dragons fantasy tropes such as elves, dwarves, and demons.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense, to be honest. I mean, you cannot deny that the classics are just freaking classics for a reason. It is what it is.
But then there is Frieren, which also has a relatively traditional take on fantasy, and yet now stands as one of the highest rated anime of all time. How did it not get lost in the crowd? What makes it stand apart? In a way, I think it has isekai to thank for its success. So, the thing about isekai protagonists is that they usually have it suspiciously easy. Regardless of whether they maintain their body, are reborn, or transformed into another race.
That's actually quite true, yes. I mean, it can be entertaining, but yes, they have it suspiciously, yes.
These characters are often unreasonably favored by their new world, or find a way to cheat its rules. This means that they usually find themselves provided with advantages that allow them to overcome any challenges they encounter. It also does not hurt that a colorful cast of characters is often waiting to receive them with arms wide open, and offer them all of the friendship, affection, and loyalty that they never had in their previous life.
Hey, wow, I don't think I've been in one of these alone with a girl situation since I was in grade school.
As most of these stories inevitably become power fantasies, the side effect is that they lose depth. This is not helped by the fact that protagonists are almost always a blank canvas designed for self-insertion by the reader, so they cannot have much of a personality or a backstory to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it works because isekai is popular, or at least was. I'm not sure how it's right now, because I just dip in, watch what I want to watch, and most of those are, I mean, it's quite fine, so... It's becoming boring, The last one I actually seen, but this wasn't boring for me personally, was a necromancer actually died and was reborn in the new world. Also the good old trait with, he's actually overpowered with a new body and stuff. But at least it's a necromancer, so forgive me if I have a certain preference to that one.
Ultimately, the worlds of isekai anime become superficial amusement parks for viewers to engage in.
And I see it as something stupid most of the time. Like, there isn't anything intelligent about it most of the times. So, that's that.
Wild and unrestrained wish fulfillment.
I need more power.
There are exceptions which try to compensate for the failings of the formula by making the world more interesting, or that attempt to subvert it by turning protagonists into actual characters. Despite this, the idea is so systematically misused that it has obfuscated the potential of this approach to storytelling.
In my opinion, the best one or the best anime that I've seen right now, or for me personally, isn't even Full Metal Alchemist. I understand when people actually like it or love it because it's good. What I prefer is One Punch Man. The drawback is just way better. The moving around, the anime protagonist just starts at the end of the journey. He's also overpowered, but the drama comes from all around him. So, and it's funny. It's just funny.
To mention that it cheapens the quality of its fantasy. Failure is disheartening. Loneliness is difficult. But they do not justify the hopelessness, lack of accountability, and self-pity that have seemingly become typical of isekai protagonists, who often act like they are owed a second chance. This despite the fact that their previous life is abandoned like a ruptured cocoon once they are reincarnated into a better, idealized version of themselves. This is not necessarily bad, but it feels like a rather empty triumph. Success has no worth if it is achieved without acknowledging and learning from one's past failings. A lot of isekai seem to avoid the idea that
I agree with him wholeheartedly. If you didn't actually achieve the things you did yourself, it's worthless. But a lot of people don't understand it. They just want a quick, nice slip in freaking getting everything just like that, and well, it's worthless basically. I mean, this at the end of the day, I mean, if you get it for free, you get it for free. So there's that. You definitively gonna have a way easier life than others if you actually just get everything for that, and you can still change. So not gonna say that it's a bad thing, but it's still worthless. That's why most people, if a rich person actually does something, they just see it way more critical than a normal human being, because like with Souls games, you actually had it hard to achieve what you achieved. You didn't get it like stuffed in you like a silver spoon in your freaking buttocks.
That misery is the result of a culmination of bad decisions in someone's life, and that they should take steps to mend this. Instead, the reasoning is that it's not their fault and that they have simply been born into the wrong world, and therefore need a new one where they can be better.
I mean, it's not always like that. I remember, I don't even know which one this was. In one anime, there was basically bus crash, guy died. God was like, hey, you shouldn't have died. And he's like, what the fuck? So God compensated it by making him overpowered in the new world. So there is a different idea behind it that I personally quite... I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting.
So why compare isekai to traditional fantasy? Why put Frieren on the spot when these two genres can coexist and be enjoyed separately? Well, I believe that it's an interesting comparison because Frieren's message is the exact opposite. It's a breath of fresh air to these settings, a reminder that high fantasy is not dead, but simply misused. More than anything, it is a manifest against the morally dubious and self-indulgent values that most isekai seem to put forward.
Yeah.
And I will explain why I think this. Frieren is a story that starts at the end of another. The main antagonist, the Demon King, has already been defeated by the hero Himmel and his companions. Ison, a dwarven warrior, the priest Heiter, and Frieren, an elven mage who lived a life of isolation for thousands of years before joining the hero's party. As the heroes go their separate ways, we are left following Frieren to what we can only imagine will be a happily ever after. But it turns out to not be as happy as we could have hoped, given that our main character has to see her companions age and ultimately pass away, knowing that she will remain behind. Again, this is nothing new to fantasy.
Beautiful.
The genre as we know it was born from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, and even he had already started thinking about the philosophical implications of relationships between long-lived races like elves and mortal humans.
Who didn't? I think that's quite normal, but the interpretation of it isn't usually done well, correctly. And what I heard about Frieren is that this did it quite honestly, really legendary. So I really hope I'm gonna get to it sometimes soon.
The natural intuition is that this is going to be a sad story about the tragic nature of immortality and of losing those you love to the inexorable passing of time. But this is where Frieren is different as a story. The elven mage realizes that she made a terrible mistake. Had she tried harder to keep in touch, had she visited more, she would have gotten to know Himmel better. But she didn't, and there is no magic in the world that can give her back the time she wasted. So what does she do? She vanishes for another 20 years, falling back into the same old habits she had before she went on the journey. But she is not the same as she was before. The journey changed her. Eventually, chance has it so that she visits Heiter, who, on his deathbed, entrusts her with his adoptive daughter, and Frieren accepts. This is where the tone of the story changes, and where the journey truly begins. As she becomes responsible for a human life, Frieren can no longer live in the way that she used to.
私一人の時間ってわけでもない。もう少しって何年ですか?
This story is not an epic fantasy. It's about traveling and seeing what's around the next corner. While the action may pick up eventually, there is no promise of it. It just kind of happens. Could be that they have to fight a dragon, could be that they have to pick up produce. At times, the way in which Frieren chooses to travel...
That's a very good thing, by the way. If you don't even know what you can expect after you're watching, that's actually quite good. Because if you're looking at action, you're looking at action. You know that there's gonna be some freaking action. But this sounds nice. It sounds really nice. Realistic, let's just say it like this in quotes.
Quests she takes and the rewards she accepts seem downright foolish. At least, that's how it appears at first to her new companions, Fern and Stark, who are both pupils of her former comrades. What this show does brilliantly is that the two humans that Frieren takes under her wing are learning things about their elf companion alongside the viewer. Frieren is an odd one. For over 1,000 years, she has woken up and not been a morning person. She buys seemingly useless, unnecessary junk on impulse. She often tries acting like she's a mature beauty, even though she still looks like a young girl. Through these quirks and other little things, what becomes clear is that Frieren is not bothered by her nature as an elf. Her very long lifespan is not something that she resents, and if anything, she seems to be quite comfortable with herself.
Good.
She exudes this sense of inner peace and self-assuredness, which is very unlike what you would see in a human who is given immortality. But there is also a silly aloofness to her that makes us understand that despite the differences that she has with humans, she is still a person with feelings, desires, and memories.
So she actually has a personality, and a good one at that. So she still can freaking grow, and this is something that's just missing in such a lot of... Let's just say what I did last time, one of the videos about Batman. There's just so much bullshit in it. And it's just, no, we don't want that bullshit, we want this. We want characters that actually act like human beings, that are understandable. I want to know why the character does the things that she does. Or is she just a little bit like, just bubbly sometimes. I mean, that's fine. Nothing bad about that one. But it's just missing. It's all about messaging instead of doing a good show. And this is something that I actually wish for. I really hope this is this.
And she has a lot of them.
As preparation of time is... okay.
One of the perks of having an elf protagonist is that she has seen a great many things, but also that she has a very long memory. Frieren is a repository of knowledge, and as a mage, she has amassed a veritable panoply of spells.
Okay.
But most of them are extremely specific. A spell that makes ice shavings without syrup. A spell that removes rust from statues. A spell that turns sweet grapes sour. You get the gist. Okay, so the premise of the show...
I personally think if we had spells in real life, they would be extremely specific. And you would have something that's specialized in a certain thing. It also depends on how the entire thing would work. But I think because people are actually specializing things in a certain way, that's the most efficient thing you can actually do. And this would be just natural, I think. So.
Show is that Frieren drags Fern and Stark along in these adventures to get wacky grimoires. On the surface, it may seem like a simple, fun, slice-of-life adventure. But there is more to it. Village to village, fight by...
I mean, grimoires are normally very, very powerful artifacts. So, definitively not getting them for fun. Or at least I think so. It wouldn't make sense in my mind if they just made it because. But it could be.
Fight, season after season, we see as they learn to understand each other more. Through every experience, the many themes of the show become intertwined with every narrative decision, and every character that is encountered has a little something to add to their meaning. Characters like Graf Granat, Old Man Vol, and even demons like Qual all help continue reflections that were started in previous episodes, and set up new ideas that will continue to be expanded on organically as the show continues. Most importantly, living characters share the screen with individuals who remain only in Frieren's memory, like her master Flam, and of course, Himmel. That's how the story remains compelling. At every step, Frieren is reliving the journey she made with her original party. It does not matter that we did not get to experience their journey directly. Through Stark, we understand Isen's true strength and the power that he drew from humility. Through Fern, we understand Hyter's casual grace and the kindness that he hid behind cynicism. Through Frieren, we understand Himmel. We understand the fundamental qualities that made him into someone fit to be a hero, but also into a good friend. Through all of them, we understand the point of the journey. Here is a being that is literally thousands of years old, who has seen entire civilizations collapse into dust and killed some of the most powerful demons in existence. And yet all it takes is spending 10 years in the company of good friends for her to become willing to change. It doesn't happen overnight. Change is a slow process.
Yes, that's the most important thing, and he is so correct about this. change is a slow process. It comes over time and it doesn't just appear. If somebody just goes in and it's like, yeah, I'm gonna change, and suddenly they're a new person, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. A lot of people don't understand it for some reason. But yes, it is so, yes.
Frieren had to lose before she learned the value of having.
Okay.
Rather, by losing it, she finally started thinking about what she had. It's fine to be afraid. That's how you become brave. It's fine to enjoy the things that you enjoy. That's how you become your own person. It's fine to make mistakes. That's how we learn. And you can make a mistake alone, but it's always better to make mistakes together. It seems that it was always short-lived mortals who left a mark on Frieren, even if from her perspective they were only together for a short time. And we understand why these mortals stuck around with her despite knowing that she would outlive them. They simply liked her and wanted to be remembered by her.
Yes, and most of the time that's enough. That's enough. Of course you have to watch your back all the time. I mean, life is life. But yeah, a lot of the times it's fine. If you just pick the correct people, just do what you're doing, and you're just not an asshole all the time, good things will come to you. Just like that. And I mean, you still always have to watch that's irrelevant what you do, who you are. You have to watch your back. But it can be so much easier if you just join someone. And there are, of course, exceptions, as always. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I'm one of the exceptions because I prefer to be alone. I am a lone wolf, as you might say. And I didn't pick it. I am just that way. But even I have people around me that I truly love as a family and that I actually just want to do something for them just because because they are my family. That's all. They were there when I needed them and I'm there when they need me. Simple as that.
And whether she knows it or not, through magic, Frieren has decided to do the same for others. Because if a spell exists, it means that someone created it. It is the culmination of someone's toil, of their frustration and research, of their dedication and passion. Even after their body has withered away and their name has been forgotten, the spell remains. Like a song or a story, as long as it is learned and passed on, it will forever bear the mark of its creator. And it doesn't hurt if, by learning the spell, you can make the sour grapes that your friend likes. This is Frieren's philosophy. You do not need a second life or a second world in order to have a second chance.
人間の寿命は短いって分かっていたのに、なんでもっと知ろうと思わなかったんだろう。
お前はいつか大きな過ちを犯し、人を知り。
Oh, sorry, I should have maybe read this. She's basically saying that she regrets that she did the mistakes she did. So does that, but it's way more powerful how they say it. Damn. Okay.
Because it's never too late for you to change.
Yeah.
And it's fine for you to rely on others to help you become who you want to be.
その時はここに帰ってこいって言ってんだ。手助けして。
I will give you a hand.
Frieren is about carrying the people you have met in your life with you. Carrying their lessons, their silly quirks, their kindness, and paying it all forward. The beauty of the series is that although it all starts with tragic loss, grief, and regret, it is not a condemnation of eternal life, but rather an ode to the beauty of things that are ephemeral, and of how sharing their memory can make them truly immortal. Thanks for watching our video. If you're a fan...
Damn, this sounds so good. So gorgeous. I'm gonna be honest, I would adore this. To hell and back if this is like as good as he just explained it. That's beautiful. What is it, acolytes? Today something light-hearted, and I hope you enjoyed it. Good night.